Hi everyone, Adam here on behalf of the Women's Rugby Show. And we thought that because there was a void of rugby this weekend, of women's rugby, we thought that we would maybe just have a very short video this week to discuss some of the major talking points from the last week. And I don't think we can look much further than the women's contracts. Now, before I go any further, I just want to highlight that obviously I, as a man, have absolutely no right, in my personal opinion, to debate the women's contracts. You know, they are 100% justified. You know, men's athletes have had full-time contracts for eons, many years, and you know, there's no debate here that the women deserve their own contracts. So I just wanted to say that obviously for us, as sort of the Women's Rugby Show, for all of us here, it doesn't matter if, yes, obviously I'm clearly a man. We've got other members of the team who aren't, and for us, this show, it doesn't matter if you're male, female, fall anywhere in the spectrum, how you identify. This show is about women's rugby. So, okay, perhaps I'm probably not the best person to be talking about women's contracts, but again, just to reiterate, this show is about women's rugby. It doesn't matter who's presenting it. So yeah, just to get that out of the way. Anyway, so on to the discussion. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk this week. The main discussion point has been about the contracts that have been offered. So again, like I said, there's nothing to debate here. The women absolutely deserve, you know, there's some top class players there who deserve these contracts, and hopefully it won't be a case like last time where the contracts were given and then they were taken away again. It's just ridiculous by the RFU. But obviously we would sort of, as our job as sports journalists, we have to discuss the perhaps some positives and some negatives. So I'm just going to go into that now. It's a very short video. First off, obviously Simon Middleton has selected a squad of 28, and we're going to be looking at the 28, but also the sort of include the 7 EPS players in that as well. He's obviously looking ahead to the World Cup in 2021 in New Zealand and hoping that England will be able to tear away the World Cup away from current holders New Zealand on home soil, which is not going to be an easy task. But looking at the squad as a whole, he's chosen, there are 11 players within the squad who are of the age of 22 or younger. So I guess Simon's and the rest of the coaching team are thinking that by the time they get to the World Cup in 2 years or sort of a year and a half's time, whatever it is, that they will be in peak form, and they'll be getting a lot more experience by being part of this England setup. You know, the other thing is, if you look at the squad, I think the numbers are 16. 16 of the squad don't have caps that are in double figures. And although I think 20 is total 20 or 21 have less than 25 caps. So it's a really young squad, which is interesting because I guess part of the point of introducing these contracts is that you want to keep these players playing elite level rugby for the next 1.5 to 2 years or whatever. So the question then, I guess, is, well, why don't you have more players that are younger so that they're coming through? I mean, okay, if you look at the squad, it's almost almost a third, which I guess is where you would normally expect. But perhaps Simon could have sort of included a couple more. There are also a few players in there who are hitting the latter stages of their career, the twilights of their career, the likes of Katie Daly-McLean and Sarah Hunter, obviously the captain. I mean, these are top quality players, and I can't really see their form dipping in the next couple of years anyway. So even if they sort of hit their mid-30s, I don't think it's going to have too much of a difference. But there is some real quality, absolute quality throughout that squad, and it's going to be really exciting to see them progress as a team in the next 2 years and hopefully go to the World Cup and go one stage further than they did in 2017 and lift the trophy. Looking at the negative side, and I have to do it because, you know, like I said, we try and cover everything here on the Women's Sports Show. Looking at the negative side of things, you look at who's represented there, and you've got eight 8 from Saracens, 7 from Harlequins and Loughborough, and I think there's about 3 or 4 from Wasps and Gloucester. If you look at how the Tyrrell or the Tyrrell, however you want to pronounce it, how that table stands, you've got the players who are playing at the top clubs and when I say top clubs, they are the clubs at the top of the table. So there seems to be a bit of a discrepancy here, like a real discrepancy between the players that have been offered their elite contracts and those sort of lower down the table. And I guess the question with that is, when it comes to developing the women's game, are we going to have a situation like we do in not just the men's game with Saracens and Exeter, where all the money seems to be ploughed towards the top and they're harvesting talent from around the country and from other clubs and from around the world, but obviously the Premiership, the Premier League, excuse me, in football, where you can compare it obviously to any sport really, where you've got those top 4, 5, 6 clubs that have just got the resources available to just take talent. And then even women's football, you know, you look at the WSL, there are clubs like Arsenal and City and Chelsea. These are clubs that they're just taking top talent, and what it's doing is creating a gap between the top clubs and everyone else in the league. And the only concern here is, if you're offering the players at the top 3 or 4 clubs, the likes of Saracens women and the likes of Harlequin ladies and the likes of Loughborough Lightning, if you're offering the players that are there full-time contracts, more of them than any other squad, then it creates a real discrepancy. And does it encourage more women and girls to get involved in the game? Well, yeah, absolutely. If they think if they're aiming for that contract, then absolutely. If they're aiming for the England contract, England caps and World Cups and Six Nations and all that stuff, absolutely. But I just want to heed a word of warning that if it gets to the stage where the majority of your squad is coming from the top 3 or 4 clubs, and that's where the contracts are being offered, then there's almost no point in having a Premiership, because then there's going to be no competition across the game, and it will make it even more difficult to recruit young, talented female rugby players from across the country. So anyway, that is my opinion. Of course, if you've got any comments, if you want to leave your comments below, do feel free. I'm awaiting a barrage of abuse, but that's fine. You know, that's part of the job. And of course, stay tuned. Do subscribe to the channel. Like this video if you want, but whatever you do, subscribe to this channel, because we will be covering our first game of 2019 next week. And I'm not going to reveal what that is just yet, but make sure you do that, and make sure you follow us on social media at Women's Rugby Show. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you soon. Have a good week. Bye.